we see Jesus healing a man born blind. And St. John in chapter 9, while beginning to narrate this incident, presents a conversation between Jesus and his disciples. And there Jesus says, "This man was born blind so that the works of God may be revealed in him." And in our life too, many of the sufferings that we face in life are actually occasions where the works of God can be revealed if we take it positively, the way the Lord would want us to take it. And in this passage, we see several points in the journey that this man made in his spiritual life. And once we understand how these points helped him to move forward in his spiritual journey, we can apply those points in our life too. The first thing that we see here is that Jesus was the one who took the initiative to heal this person. Jesus is someone who always takes initiative to heal us from the troubles and difficulties that we may find ourselves in. However, that healing really took place under a condition. Here, Jesus made mud and applied on his eyes and told him to go and wash. This man faithfully obeyed the commandment of Jesus and went and washed and got healed. If we notice, the healing took place in faithful obedience. So, many times healing can come into our life only when we are willing to obey the commandment of God faithfully. And we see Jesus telling him to go and wash himself. Jesus never asked him to come back after washing, but he went and washed and got his sight back and returned to Jesus. Why did he return? In Luke chapter 17, verse 17 and 18, we see Jesus asking after healing 10 lepers, "Were there not 10 who were healed? Where are the other 9? Only one returned to give thanks to the Lord." So this man, if he has returned to the Lord, probably it was to thank the Lord. So gratitude for the blessings that we receive in life is the second key in order to progress in our spiritual life. The first was faithful obedience, second, gratitude to the Lord. And then immediately we see people having different opinion about this particular individual who was born blind. Some said it was he, the others said no, it was someone else, but then looked like him. People were not willing to believe his testimony easily, but he was not disappointed. He courageously began to share his testimony. So that's the third point, the willingness to courageously share the testimony of the wonders that the Lord has done in our lives. It doesn't matter whether people will believe the testimony that we give or not. And soon we see this person facing severe opposition, not only from the people around, but also from the Jewish leadership. And we see this man standing firm. So that's the next point, the willingness to stand firm in faith even in the face of severe opposition. And we see the Jewish leaders, especially the Pharisees, calling his own parents. And parents, instead of standing by him, asked the Jewish leaders to talk to their son directly, telling he is of age, ask him what happened. The parents were actually afraid of being put out of the synagogue because they knew that if they openly supported Jesus, there was a danger of the Pharisees putting them out of the synagogue community. So here, the man who was healed by Jesus couldn't get support from those from whom he would have really expected such support. So that's the next point, that ability to stand firm in our faith even when we do not receive support from those whom we expected to stand by us in our struggle. Later in the conversation with the Jewish leaders, seeing this man so firm in his faith in Jesus, the leaders told him, "You were born entirely in sin, and now you are coming to teach us." This man was born blind, and there was a belief that his blindness might have been the result of the sin of his parents or forefathers. Look at this. When they could not argue with him, they could not prove him wrong, they began to look at his past life. They began to look at his family background. And that's something that a person who stands for Jesus too faces. Especially after he saw her conversion to the Lord, people might still make comments on him or her based on his or her past life and past weaknesses. But we can see this man not getting disappointed. After facing such severe criticism from all the corners, we see him encountering Jesus again. And in that encounter, Jesus reveals himself to him as the Son of God. And he confesses his faith and worships Jesus. When anyone stands firm in his or her faith, in spite of all the difficulties that he or she has to face, Jesus will reveal himself to such individuals. And it is the beauty of this experience of this personal encounter with the Lord that gives us even more strength to stand firm in our faith in the face of even more oppositions and criticisms.